Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome on board of this webinar about Transport Research and Innovation Grants Program. My name is Isabelle Tiberank, and I am the TRIG Program Lead at Connected Places Catapult. I'm incredibly proud to be delivering this flagship program innovation for the third time and to support innovators like you. You are working hard to shape a more integrated, accessible, resilient, and greener transport system across the UK. And we know that your time is limited and you're managing multiple priorities. So we have made conscious effort to reduce barrier and simplify our program and the application projects. Our goal is really to make this program accessible, low burden, and valuable as possible, whatever your background, your location, and your lived experience. So I hope this comes clearly in the presentation and throughout the process. Even if you are a first-time entrepreneur and those who never applied for a grant before, feel confident to take part. So we'll be spending 60 to 90 minutes together today, depending on how curious you are about the program. So I really encourage you to make the most of the dedicated 30-minute session, question and answer at the end. You are welcome to submit questions in the Q&A functions throughout the session. We may respond to you in writing, but we will clarify some element at the end of the session, or we might save the question for the discussion just at the end. Please ensure that all the questions you are sending are framed in a respectful manner, kept concise, and this should always aim to help you strengthen your application and better understand the process rather than seeking validation for a specific project, as it's quite difficult to assess individual case without all the detail. It's quite a busy session, so we won't have time to answer every individual request about eligibility. So make sure that you're framing your question in a way that really enrich your application. So if you look at the agenda, you can see that we will start with the presentation from Claire Dixon, who's Senior Innovation Funding Manager at DFT. Then we will have a session around shaping the future of transport through TRIG, understanding a bit more about the program and its value. And then we'll have some presentation from DFT challenge owners about each challenge and the strategic overview of DFT priorities. And then I'll present you the TRIG 2026 competition and the selection process in more detail. So again, we'll have 30 minutes dedicated to Q&A question. Make sure that you make the most of those sessions. Again, framing your question in a concise way. And if you need some caption, you might go to more action on the three-dot icon. You can select language, speech, and show live caption, and then you will have access to the caption live. Also be aware that this session is recording and the recording will be available at the end of the session. So without further ado, I would like to hand over to Claire Dixon, Innovation Funding Manager at DFT.
Yeah, thank you so much, Isabelle. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Claire Dixon, and I'm part of the innovation team at the Department for Transport, which sits within our wider Science, Innovation and Technology Directorate, referred to as SciTech. We're also joined today by Nathan, who leads the innovation team, and Barbara and Premika, who work alongside me on TRIG, and they'll be on hand later to talk through the questions and answer any questions on innovation funding programs we have. So firstly to say, it's really great to see such a strong interest already in this year's TRIG competition, and the level of engagement we're seeing is just really exciting. I'm going to take around 5 minutes just to give you a short overview of SciTech and the innovation team, the department's priorities, and the role that innovation and TRIG specifically plays in delivering these priorities before we move into a bit more detail on the competition itself, where we'll hear from other DFT colleagues who are sponsoring the challenges. So next slide, please. So within DFT, sorry, back to the other slide. Sorry, too far. Within DFT, innovation sits within the broader SciTech Directorate, which is led by our Chief Scientific Advisor, Professor Patricia Thornley. And last year, the department published its Science, Innovation and Technology Plan, which is shown here on the screen, which sets out how we will deliver better outcomes across transport by strengthening our research and development partnerships and the innovation system. And so the innovation team where I sit plays a really key role within that system. And we really sit at the intersection of policy, research, and innovation, acting as a bridge between the policymakers and the innovators like yourself, helping to turn early stage ideas into something that can really help inform future decision making. And TRIG is just a really strong example of how we do that in practice. So innovation is critically important to DFT because we are tackling some of the most complex and long-term challenges facing the UK, many of which don't have straightforward or established solutions. So we really do require those new ideas, those different ways of thinking. And that's why innovation is really essential and central to how we operate across DFT. So we focus on three core priority outcomes, which are shown here, which are growing the UK economy, delivering greener, safer and healthier transport, and improving transport for people and communities. These aren't just high-level ambitions, they really do shape the work we do across SciTech and the problems that we prioritise and the types of innovation that we support. And you'll see that it's reflected in the challenges we're presenting today, all of which directly link to one or more of these outcomes. So TRIG is our primary mechanism for engaging with innovation at the very early stage when ideas are still being explored and tested. And it allows us to connect directly with you, the innovators, to bring new entrants into the transport sector, which we might not see through other traditional routes. The programme has been running now for over a decade, and during that time, we've supported a wide range of innovators with many strong ideas progressing towards real-world application and being progressed significantly. So importantly, this approach really allows us to help make sure that innovation is not happening in isolation, but is really grounded in those real transport challenges and priorities. And one of the strengths of TRIG is the close connection to the policy teams, many of whom are joining the call today and will run through their challenges and provide strategic concept. So just to close then, I'll just leave you with a quote from our Minister, Lillian Greenwood, who actually helped to launch this year's programme. And she said, if you have an idea that could support DFT in its missions and you're ready to test it, challenge it and prove it, then TRIG is here. And we do really look forward to hearing from you. So I'll hand back over now to Isabel, who will take you through some of the competition in more detail.
Thank you very much, Claire. Now you understand the importance of the TRIG program for DFT and for the water ecosystem. So I just wanted to clarify what TRIG is about on the next slide, please. So TRIG is an innovation program that supports bold and early stage ideas, tackling real-world transport challenges. So it's, as Claire mentioned, it's a long-standing program funded by DFT, with challenge shaped by their priorities, but also some industry insight and feedback from our advisory board. This ensures that the innovation we support are aligned with the most pressing needs of the transport sector and have the potential to deliver meaningful real-world impact across the UK. So Connected Places is the delivery partner. We design the competition and the program end-to-end, manage the selection process, and shape and organize the business support in close collaboration with the SciTech team and the challenge owners at DFT. But it's a long-standing collaboration with DFT as it's funding by their team, and they are highly involved in the program. TRIG supports any type of business, private businesses, charity, local authority. Your business can be any size, micro businesses, small businesses, startups, medium, even large. Although for the latter, you must justify why this cannot be self-funded. But if you applied to TRIG before, you also are welcome to reapply with a new idea. Maybe the idea might not succeed, and that's entirely acceptable. TRIG is designed to allow you to succeed and fail quickly, enabling rapid progress from conducting initial research to proving your concept and building a prototype or testing now in a relevant environment. This process can be challenging and laborious, but accelerating it's possible through collaboration across academia, industry, policymaker. And this synergy is TRIG's greatest strength, fostering an environment where groundbreaking ideas can flourish. Next slide, please. So TRIG started over 10 years ago, supporting 417 projects across the years with 17.4 million in funding. And for this competition, we are running a 5-month program supporting up to 53 innovation projects with 45,000 pound funding per project. On the next slide, I'll explain how we use the technology readiness level to assess how mature your technology is and track its progress. So first of all, to apply for TRIG, your project should be between between TRL 2 to 4. So meaning you have formulated your concept, but you don't have built a prototype, or you're not yet ready for commercialization. So if your technology is already ready for commercialization or already been tested, we have probably something else in store for you, but TRIG is not the right program for you. At the end of the TRIG, you may have progressed to one or maybe more TRL levels, so maybe delivering a proof of concept or a small-scale prototype validated in lab, or your ID might be validated in a relevant environment. So you can find a bit more detail about the TRL scale in our application guidance, and I will refer to this application guidance a lot during this presentation. Next slide, please. So I'm really thrilled to share how unique this program is and the impact it can have on your organization and also in your network. So we offer an exceptional opportunity with 100% grant funding, meaning no matching fund is required, but possible, providing up to 45,000 pounds per project. And this funding is designed to help you cover the cost in proving the feasibility of your project, create a prototype, or test in a relevant environment. But our program doesn't stop at funding. You have a unique access to DFT policy team with a monthly call with your challenge owner and your cohorts. We organize many opportunities to raise your profile through our innovation directory, some virtual in-person event like we had in the past, but also some virtual event like we had last week. And we organize all those in-person events across the UK in different nation and region, including a showcase event at the end of the program. As we know that stakeholder engagement is a key ingredient for success, we make sure that we engage directly with government bodies, SMEs, academia, corporate, and it allows to open doors that could be very difficult to access otherwise. We also, for the first time, will provide some personalized mentoring for new entrepreneurs or micro businesses that need a bit more support. And lastly, as mentioned, TRIG doesn't stop at the end of program. When you join TRIG, you are part of a vibrant community of innovators, and you have access to our community platform for the long term, so you can engage with the community access to peer-to-peer mentoring and also some learning content that we would provide as well during the program. Next slide, please. So in terms of timeline of the program, given the high volume of application we receive, to give you an idea, last year we received about 341 application. It's quite a long and stringent selection process, so we will run it until the end of this year to make sure that it's accessible and inclusive, and we give the chance to everyone to present the best of their solution. So the final outcome will be communicated in January 2027, and you will be asked to complete some administrative task, some paper, a little bit of paperwork, and you will be onboarding on our community platform and receive the grant if you completed all the tasks between January, maybe February, if some tasks are not completed in advance. The program will officially start in February with a virtual kickoff meeting that everyone must attend and an in-person event in March. So the specific date will be communicated and the venue, but we expect everyone to join this event. You will also benefit from a monthly call with DFT change owners, and you will be required to complete a short monthly report and deliver your project in time and within budget. In June, you will be asked to provide a final report, so by the 13th of June. So make sure that you've tested or you've developed everything before to make sure that you can communicate the outcome of the project. And then we'll ask some spending report, including all the evidence except the timesheet to be provided by the 25th of June. Next slide, please. In terms of eligibility, so we are really calling all innovator developing an innovative ID to apply, whether you're a startup, a scale-up, a university, a charity, a local government. And we define an innovative ID as a concept that addresses an unresolved problem or for a more sustainable or cost-effective solution than existing approach. So that's very important that your solution is new and but it can be new for the mode that you are targeting. So, for example, if you develop a solution that are applicable to the the rail industry, you could then apply it to the freight industry or to another industry. That's also welcome. Sorry. So it's important that the TRIG funding must benefit the UK economy. So we require that you are a UK registered organization, but foreign company can apply if they have established an office in the UK. There's no minimum registration period required to qualify, so even new businesses can apply. The project must be deployed in the UK, and a maximum of 50% of the grant can be spent overseas, excluding material cost. We encourage consortium, but this is not a requirement, and you will not score higher for doing so, but bear in mind that the later will be scored during the stage 2 of the application process. So the more engagement with industry, the better for this criteria. We won't be asking the detail of the stakeholder or the partner at the first stage, but we'll be asking it at the stage 2. The stage 1, 2 will be clarified a bit later, and don't worry. If you are looking for a partner, you will also have the opportunity to mention that during the application. So make sure that when you are selecting that you are looking for a partner, you select the right category. We also accept bigger project than a 45,000 pound value project. So if you are working on a big project but want to be part of TRIG, we just will be funding only up to 45,000 pounds. But you can match fund your project, and this will also be asked at the stage 2 of the application. So um, yeah, you'll be asked to detail those costs. Next slide, please. Excuse me. So as you can see, the competition is now open, and we are looking to fund 53 projects aligned to one of the challenge below. So we'll have 25 up to 25 projects in maritime decarbonization, up to 5 projects for freight innovation, 7 project up to 7 projects for critical technology, 10 projects for digital twin, and up to 6 projects for open call. And the application is open until the 5th of June. And to give you a bit more detail about the scope, I'll hand over now to the DFT team, starting with Ben Howell, who is Maritime Environment and Decarbonization Policy Advisor for DFT. Over to you, Ben.
Thank you, Isabel. Just checking if everyone can hear me. Is that? I assume so.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So next slide, please. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today. My name is Ben Howell. I'm part of the UK Shore Programme team. I'm joined by my colleagues Ian Salisbury and Bio Bello. We sit within the Maritime Environment team, which is part of the wider Maritime Division at the Department for Transport. Before outlining the challenges themselves, I'd like to talk a little bit about the UK Shore Programme more broadly. We're a research and development programme aimed at supporting the maritime sector to decarbonise, mainly by funding the development and deployment of clean maritime technologies. In September of last year, we were very pleased to receive £448 million of funding for phase 2 of the programme, and this funding is allocated for the next 4 years out to 2030. The UK Shore Programme has been around for the last 5 years, so 2021 it started, mainly through the delivery of R&D competitions. You may even have applied to, or will hopefully successfully delivered a project in a previous round. This is not our first round of TRIG. CMDC is another of our competitions, which stands for the Clean Maritime Demonstration Competition, or ZEVI, which is a higher TRL, the Zero Emission Vessel and Infrastructure Competition. Both of those, by the way, are currently open. So by funding organisations with novel or innovative ideas, one of the main aims is to support UK businesses and really support the UK maritime sector to be at the forefront of maritime innovation. Next slide, please. Thank you. This slide really emphasises that UK Shore, the programme, it's not a standalone programme. We're a key part of our efforts to support delivery of the Maritime Decarbonisation Strategy, or the MDS, which was published last spring by the DFT. This particular graphic can be found in the MDS, and it outlines the key timings and milestones on our journey to net zero, but specifically for the maritime sector. So net zero, as you can see here, is represented in the top right-hand corner. I'd like to point out the interim targets as well, those being a 30% reduction by 2030, a 30% reduction of greenhouse gases. That's compared to 2008 levels of emissions, and an 80% reduction by 2040. So as you can probably tell, the 2030s, that particular decade is going to be a really key decade for our targets, and that's why we're cracking on nice and early, moving at pace. I'd also like to flag, so this document is a key document which makes clear our approach to supporting the sector to decarbonise. Next slide, please. Thank you. As many on this call will be aware, the maritime sector is a very complex sector to decarbonise. Of course, the UK Shore Programme and its R&D funding, the £448 million that we awarded last September, is really recognition of that and the size of the challenge. Different vessel types, vessel sizes, different use cases, they all require different solutions in different operational environments. And of course, there's still uncertainty as to the optimal solutions for each vessel, for each port, etc. And as you can see here, the average lifespan for vessels is around 25 years. And so many new vessels coming online today may still be operational in 2050, which of course is our end goal. So therefore, we need to move at pace to support the sector to find the right clean solutions for their own operational environments. Next slide, please. Thank you. This slide in particular shows that TRIG is one kind of a cog in the system. It's one part of the whole UK Shore programme. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, we've got 3 competitions now open and therefore 3 funding opportunities. We are keen to support and hopefully this graphic demonstrate that the whole innovation pipeline from TRL 1 through to 9, from funding academic research via the Clean Maritime Research Hub, which is a consortium of 13 universities, through to TRIG, feasibility studies, pre-deployment trials, and then in CMDC, and then all the way up to commercial trials in SEVI. And if you would like to, you can click on the, you can use the barcode and go through it. So it's a 4-minute video, which is it's very useful if you wanted to find out a little bit more information about the UK Shore programme as a whole. Next slide, please. So that was a brief insight into where we find ourselves, a little bit about why we're funding TRIG projects once again. Let's now dive into the details of what specific projects we're keen to fund this time round. As you can see, there's 5 main areas for which we have funding for 25 projects. First of all, we have a challenge around the safe adoption of future maritime fuels. This relates specifically to zero and near zero fuels, which will be critical to maritime decarbonisation. Projects will help provide greater certainty when it comes to safe handling, storage and bunkering of those fuels. Second challenge is around smarter, more energy efficient vessel operations, specifically how we can make zero and near zero ZNZs fuels more efficient. I think it's fair to say that operational efficiency is one of the fastest ways to reduce emissions, routing, speed optimization, or energy use, and these can have a significant impact on decarbonisation. Thirdly, we shift onto the shoreside focus and the port and infrastructure side. Ports are rapidly becoming energy hubs, coordination points between sea, roads, and rail. So this challenge would help ports plan for those complexities, whether that's automation, energy demand, or multiple fuel feature. Challenge 4, this is about getting a clear and trusted picture of the energy demand across the whole port system, and that includes vessels, shore power, and charging infrastructure. Ports are making decisions about what to electrify first, what to invest in, where to invest in first. So we're really interested in projects that help to build that picture. And then challenge 5 is really a cross-cutting challenge. It cuts across the whole system and relates specifically to evidence in terms of fuels, vessels, retrofits, and infrastructure. Data in the sector can be fragmented and perhaps inconsistent. So we're really keen to improve the evidence base with that particular challenge. So those are the 5 challenges. What we've tried to achieve is a really broad scope. So to try and address many of the, let's call them known unknowns, if you like, and address many of the barriers in maritime decarbonisation. The last thing I should probably say is thank you very much for coming along today, and we're very, very excited to receive even more innovative applications in the clean maritime space. And with that, I think I'm passing on to David Elvey, to talk through the freight challenges. Thank you.
In a really positive position, I would have thought, given, it's up 12 months before they got to us.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Could someone release my video? Host is cute. Perfect. Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is David Elvey. I'm Deputy Head of Multimodal Freight inside the DFT. But for the last 5 or 6 years, I've been leading a program called the Freight Innovation Program. which funds innovation across TRL levels, sort of 2 to 7. And we've been contributing towards the TRIG program. I cannot remember whether this is our 6th one or our 5th one, but either way, we're heavily committed, and we're committed, I think, for reasons that I'll set out on the first 2 slides, and then Jana, my colleague, who's also had her video turned on, will pick up the detail of our challenges for this round. So what this slide really sets out is why freight is important. It's absolutely critical for everything that we do. We find generally people don't think about it very much. Nobody tends to think about how that parcel arrives at their front door, or why all their supermarket shelves are full of products and produce from all over the world, or why their employer manages to have a stable supply of paper and or every component that goes into building the product that they manufacture. But underpinning all of that is the freight and logistics system, the domestic one and the global one. And so freight, it does what it says in the bullet too. It connects businesses to markets. It supports literally every single supply chain in the country. And as such, it's a critical underpinning to the government's growth agenda. But freight and logistics is not easy. It's capital intensive, but yet it's also commoditized. So you tend to find most parts of the freight and logistics system are relatively low margin. And as such, they tend to struggle with innovation, particularly transformative innovation. The name of the game is to find efficiencies incrementally rather than to look for step change. And so we know that coming up, we've already heard from maritime colleagues, this is true across the full freight system. The challenge of decarbonisation when you're moving heavy things long distances is particularly acute. We see today with goings on in the Middle East, the question of resilience is an ongoing challenge for a global system. And then we understand the requirement and the need for an efficient logistics sector to drive our productivity and to think about how we manage workforce pressures within the freight and logistics system. So it's important, and we need to help it to cope with the challenges that it faces. And we're committed to the idea that innovation is an important part of that commitment. So we can go on to the next slide, please. So as you've said, not surprisingly, we're on this call. We support TRIG, and we have done for, as I say, the last five or six iterations of it. We do so because we understand that if you want innovation to successfully support your objectives, you need to have a end-to-end innovation support system. So we have supported TRIG because we need to grab the good ideas that there is no shortage of. I've been watching the attendee list. It's been fluctuating just either side of 200. That is a demonstration of the fact there is no shortage of innovation in the UK. The challenge is how we provide the pipelines to take those innovations and the ones with the greatest potential from the ideas of 200 to the successful operational and commercial entities that we want them to be. So TRIG is good for us. It allows us to test quite quickly and relatively cheaply the concepts and to hopefully turn those into more refined ideas. I think as been set out on an earlier slide, helps to connect you, the innovators, with experts and money across government and across industry. And just like my maritime colleague Ben, although I haven't got anywhere near as flashy a graphic to show you, we also have a further program. We call it the Freight Innovation Fund. It's largely an accelerator and venture building program. If you have been listening to this call and think your TRL is a little bit too advanced for TRIG, if you go onto the Connected Places Catapult website, we are currently running our open call for this year's Freight Innovation Fund. So you can go and have a look at that. And the final thing I would mention, through the Freight Innovation Fund, we also run with the CPC the Freight Innovation Cluster. It's about to be rebranded, but that's what you'll need to search for on Google at the moment. And that is a network of innovators, SMEs, tier one freight operators, investors, academics, and so on, who can come together to sort of share in a collaborative space their ideas and look for partnerships and look for funding. Okay, so that's why we do it. Jana is now going to take me through a couple of slides, which is going to tell you what we want from this year's TRIG. Many thanks.
Thank you, David. Hi, everybody. So as David mentioned, I will be going through the next 2 slides in terms of talking about what our challenge is. So for this year's Freight Challenge, we're looking for ideas that can help the sector in practical and more scalable ways. This includes supporting cleaner growth, improving productivity, and helping build more resilient freight system for the future. So on the clean growth, we're looking for ideas that can help reduce emission, improve operational efficiency, and make better use of infrastructure. That could include like smarter charging and refueling solutions, new ways to reduce empty journeys and congestion. On productivity, we are looking for ideas that can help the sector work smarter. This could involve using data, technology, assets, networks to improve efficiency across operations and supply chains. People and resilience is also a really important part of this challenge. We know the sector is going through major changes, and which including automation, digitalization, and workforce pressures. So we are particularly interested in ideas that can support workforce transition, improve the experience of drivers and operators, and strengthen cyber and supply chain resilience. Overall, we want to see innovation that can solve real-world problems and deliver practical benefits for industry and the wider transport system. Next, please. So, our message to potential applicants is very simple. If you have an idea that can solve real challenge in the freight logistics, then we want to hear from you. We're looking for bold and practical ideas that can be tested quickly and have the potential to make a real impact. This doesn't mean solutions that need to be fully developed from day one. TRIG is designed to help early stage ideas to grow, develop, and be explored further. So what matters most is having a clear problem to solve and having a strong idea for how your innovation can improve outcomes for the users, operators, and the wider freight sector. We are keen to support ideas that could be scaled in the future and have long-term potential growth beyond the initial project phase. Freight and logistics, as David has mentioned, is a very important sector, and it touches every part of the economy. So there's a huge opportunity for innovation to make a huge difference. And last thing I want to say is that we're really looking forward to your applications and wish you all the best. Thank you. Over to Tom now.
Hello everyone. So I'm Tom Pond, I'm Programme Lead for Digital Twins in the Department for Transport. Our team works out of the Analyst Directorate, but we work across the department on various digital twin projects and opportunities, and TRIG is one of them. So I want to give you an overview of our digital twin challenge, obviously. If we can go to the next slide, please. So we always have to start these calls with what is a digital twin, or more importantly, what does the government believe a digital twin is, because there's a bit of conjecture about that. But the government believes that digital twin is a virtual model of a real world object, system, or process that is connected to a real world counterpart via a continuous two-way flow of data. Okay, so importantly, that opens up some very interesting transport opportunities. So you can use data to simulate how a network behaves, understand how disruption spreads, and test innovations for making changes into the real system. Transport data used to manage transport. I'm sure you all understand that's quite beneficials DFT. And we're interested in any digital twin ideas that will help us with three main things. These are all going to link up to our wider integrated transport digital twin program. We want to look for digital twins that are helping for a more connected, resilient, future-proof transport network, developing the digital twin state-of-the-art, and utilising new data sources to develop digital twin solutions. So I'm going to give you an overview of what the Integrated Transport Digital Twin Programme is, and this will all come together quite nicely at the end, I hope. So next slide, please. So you may be aware that in September 2024, we published an economic benefits analysis for an integrated network management digital twin, essentially setting out, would it be a good idea to link up everybody's transport data and use it in a very clever way to manage the transport network? The result of that economic benefit analysis was, yes, it would. It could potentially deliver £1.8 billion of benefits to the UK. So, big money, really. And that looks across different sort of use cases. So improving cross-transport operations, improving response to planned and unplanned events, improving collaboration with non-transport stakeholders, and enabling deployment of new technologies. If you're going to bid for digital twins TRIG funding, then I'd recommend you have a look at this, at least read the executive route, if not all of it, but it is the key sort of text, digital twins in Department of Transport. Go to the next slide, please. Okay, so the programme as it stands, and this is how we're sort of delivering this. We've got an idea that we're bringing together sort of three key strands: the integrated corridor digital twins, which is how local authorities will manage their own transport networks. We have got a national crisis response digital twin, which is a central government-owned crisis response digital twin being delivered by ARAP, which is going to set out how nationally how we can respond to crisis. And then there's data sharing infrastructure currently being supported by a national digital twin program, which is sort of linking all of that together. And as you can see at the top, end users and stakeholders are together, and all of these clever programs and platforms will all come together to sort of help our end users and make the transport network more manageable. There's some secondary work we're doing here as well, which is an evaluation program and engagement activities, as you can imagine. The key thing for you guys, I think, is the innovation funding. So TRIG, we are looking for good ideas that can be sort of pulled into integrated transport digital twin potentially and help us manage the transport network. So if I move on to the next slide, please. So these are our sort of challenges for cohort here. And if you sort of go through, we've got some different ideas that we think would be really useful. So multimodal federated transport, how do we use digital twins to enable better integration of transport modes of people and freight? Nothing particularly exciting. Well, exciting, but not unexpected. But then we're also looking at things like asset resilience. How do we use digital twins to make our transport assets more resilient to flooding, to other crisis events, things that happen, or even sort of across their lifespan? How do we manage their life cycle and make it more efficient? Then obviously there's incident crisis management on the network. How do we respond to that? How do we make sure the transport network can get back on its feet when there's a crisis incident? But then we're also looking at things like supporting new mobility. So there's obviously sort of like new technologies coming in. How do digital twins use that? So how can we sort of bring that into a digital twin space? And then general sort of ideas about how we enable digital twins. So how can we establish mechanisms to enable transport digital twins to deliver societal value, and how can we use digital twins to enable trusted data sharing between organisations, something that we're always sort of looking to do. So a quick run through what we're looking for in digital twins there, but hopefully that sort of sets out where we're going. I am very excited to be looking through some more applications for very interesting projects, as this is the second year we've done this, and I think it's sort of like always sort of brings up some very interesting ideas. And with that, without further ado, I'll pass over to Asha for the critical technologies. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom. Much appreciated. So this is slightly different from a lot of the other challenge areas. It's more a broad call on critical technologies, where we are asking for the best innovations in areas of technology that we consider could be critical to the transport system in the future. So Claire has already taken you through the DFT priorities, so I'm not going to repeat that, but we believe that some of these technologies could be crucial to meeting our national goals. And you may also recognize some of them from the industrial strategy. Next slide, please, and I'll talk you through them. Okay, so starting off, seamless connectivity. So we think that new connectivity technologies could revolutionize the transport sector by enabling travelers and vehicles and infrastructure to communicate in real time. This could enhance safety, optimize traffic flow, and support more efficient and responsive transport networks. Next up, and a subject close to my heart, AI and autonomy. So we think AI and autonomous systems have the potential to transform the transport sector entirely by enabling smarter decision making, optimize operations, kind of the reduction in human error, and supporting safer and more efficient and adaptive transport systems. Next on, robotics and automation. So robotics really has the potential to transform the transport sector by enabling automated inspection, kind of automated maintenance and operational tasks across the transport mode, which can potentially improve efficiency and certainly can with safety. Next on, Internet of Things and ubiquitous connectivity. So this is really where we see the potential to enhance the transport sector by connecting vehicles, infrastructure, devices to enable that real-time data, which would enable smarter traffic management, multimodal transport, and transport safety. Next on, quantum. There's a pretty wide range here. So quantum sensing or communication or computing all have a huge potential to revolutionize the transport sector, as they do with many other sectors. So we think that they might do this by enabling ultra-precise navigation, faster and more secure data exchange, and advanced optimization of multimodal transport networks. Next on, we've got engineering biology. Might feel a bit out there for some people, but actually, in terms of transport, this can really help improve the sector by creating kind of stronger and more durable and more sustainable materials to help enhance asset resilience, reduce maintenance costs, and support longer lasting transport networks, as well as offering new production routes to consumables like fuels. So that's it across the critical technologies. But finally, I will outline what we consider to not be in scope for critical techs. So we're not looking at mobility as a service, vehicle to grid, and next generation batteries. That's it for me. I think I'm passing you back to Claire.
Yeah, thank you, Asha. So I'm going to run through the details of the Open Call Challenge. So next slide, please. So while many of the challenges we've had today are really focused on specific themes, the Open Call is deliberately different, and it is designed to create that space for new, unexpected and cross-cutting ideas that don't neatly fit into one of those single predefined categories. So it's sponsored by the innovation team and the central SciTech team, which means we don't have those ties to specific modes or topics. And it really is open across all ideas, provided that proposals clearly align to the Department of Transport's priority outcomes. So a quick recap of those are greener, safer and healthier transport, growth, and also improving transport for the user and for people. So breaking these down a little bit more to give you an idea, it's not an exhaustive list, but some of the things that DFT are aiming to do underneath those priority outcomes. So for greener, it could be something such as promoting more walking and cycling and promoting cleaner air initiatives, and also improving road safety. Under growth, we have things like rail connectivity programs and major road upgrades, and also bus initiatives. And under transport being better for the user, we have particular kind of focus on things like prevention of violence against women and girls on the transport network, accessibility, and also transport maintenance and improvements as well. Next slide, please. So again, I will emphasize this is not an exhaustive list, but we did kind of provide a little bit of steer in terms of some of the scope that we are particularly interested that fits under some of these in the open call space. The first one is accessibility in transport. And I'm not going to read all of the questions out, but it focuses on things like ensuring that all users feel empowered, that there's kind of developments in step-free access, and also that the same level of accessibility is seen across different regions of the UK. The next one's safety in transport. So again, I've mentioned about safer environments for women and girls, reducing collision risks between road users, and then thinking about safer, more effective infrastructure around schools. And finally, the last one is not a challenge statement per se, but it's really important that we're kind of acknowledging that ideas do not have to be completely new to the world, and that applying an existing technology or an approach in a new transport context can be just as valuable and can still fulfill the requirements in terms of entry level innovation if you're pivoting to a new transport challenge. So if you don't have an idea that doesn't quite fit elsewhere, but does clearly respond to a real transport challenge, I would encourage you to consider thinking about application under the open call. What matters most is that the project really clearly identifies the challenge it is addressing. It proposes something genuinely innovative and also has the potential to deliver meaningful impact in the transport context. So that's it. I'm handing back, I think, to Isabel to just talk a little bit more on the application selection process. Thank you.
Exactly. Thank you, Claire. And thank you very much to all the challenge owner and DFT colleague for presenting all the changes in more detail. You can also find all the detail of the challenge scope within our application guidance. So make sure that you read this application guidance. And we can't really advise on which challenge you need to apply according to your solution. We can only explain what we expect for each challenge scope. So if you have any question around which challenge you should apply to, we won't be able to answer, but make sure that you ask question about like what's important for each challenge. Okay, so going to the application and selection phase. So this year, we are running the competition a bit differently than previously. So if you apply for TRIG before, it would look different. So we divided it into 3 phases, with application being progressively narrowed at each stage. So you have until the 5th of June to submit your application for phase 1. And make sure that you submit your application really before the 5th of June, as we won't be able to extend the deadline. But at this stage, it's a very simple form. So we will ask you about some detail about your organization, some due diligence questions, and 2 questions around innovation. So one about the challenge you are addressing, one about the solution you are developing. So it's very simple, very straightforward. And after we receive all the submission, we will run a due diligence process. So we will check every company on Companies House, ensure that you have employees liability insurance, that you have not received more than 315,000 pounds in grant under the MFA rule, and that your organization is not involved in any criminal activities, serious litigation, or tax breaches. So we'll run this check, and then if you pass the due diligence process, we will score the innovation criteria based on your application. I will go into more detail of each criteria across the whole application at phase 1 and 2. Bear with me on this one. So the initial scoring again is only about the challenge and the solution you are provided. We also collect EDI data, but it's not part of the scoring process. It's just for us to know how we're doing in terms of diversity of applicant and in terms of project awarded. And then on phase 2, from the 13th of July, up to 212 applicants will be invited to progress to this phase, known as the full submission stage. So at this point, you will be asked to detail the potential impact of your solution on the transport system, society, the environment, and the economy. We'll ask you to present your team, including key skills and partner involved. We will ask you to submit a project plan and a budget using a provided template. And then finally, you will be expected to demonstrate the scalability of your solution. So this will be supported by your stakeholder engagement approach and the market research you've done already. So after that, we will, out of those 215 up to 215 applications that were progressed to phase 2, we will again run another scoring process with our expert. I just saw that in the chat we have already a question around confidentiality during the assessment process. Be aware that the assessment process is only run internally within CPC and involving at the phase 3 some DFT colleagues. So all the applications are fully confidential, and we don't communicate about the application externally. So that is really in safe hands. So for those that are the 90 applicants that will be progress at interview, they are going to be interviewed by the DFT policy lead and scored following a different process. And it would be a 45 minutes interview where we'll be asking you to do a 10 minutes presentation about your project, and then we will ask some standard question. You will receive a bit more information about the interview process if you are progress after a full submission. So feedback will be provided if unsuccessful after the interview. Unfortunately, due to the large volume of application, we are not able to provide feedback at phase 1 and 2 if you are unsuccessful. We're conscious that a lot of you are disappointed that we can't provide the feedback, and we would really welcome the opportunity to do so. It's just that we don't have the tools and system and capacity in place to provide that, but we are working hard in the background to make sure that in the future we may able to provide that. I think I've covered all the application and selection phase. So just to present the scoring criteria. So as I've mentioned, we are scoring the innovations criteria at stage 1. So it would be 30% of your overall scoring for stage 2. But that would be the only scoring for stage 1, if that makes sense. And then the impact will be 30% of the scoring. The team and budget will be 30%, and the scalability will be 10%. So again, stage 1 will be scoring only innovation, and based on the score of the innovation criteria, we will decide to progress you to stage 2, and then after stage 2, we will take all those criteria into account with the weighted scoring that you can see on the screen to decide which one are progressed to interview stage. We will provide much more information after if you are selected for stage 2. So don't worry about the detail of the budget and the template. This will be really clarified closer to the date. Next slide, please. So again, we worked quite hard in the background to make the application process very streamlined and simple. You just need to go to our online page on the Simply Do application online, and then select Start an Application. So you can see a screenshot. It's very small, sorry about that, but at the bottom right corner, you can see the Create Your Application button. You just need to click on that. And then you need to name your application by your organization name plus 3 keywords. So I provided an example with Connected Places Catapult, but ensure you put your organization name and 3 keywords related to your project. And then you need to either search for your organization if you already apply for a program with Connected Places Catapult, or you need to create the profile if you never applied before, and they will ask you a few questions about your organization. Next slide, please. So that's almost the last slide, but I just wanted to give you some top tips on how to apply and how to write a successful application. So we've provided a document with all the questions that you can prepare offline. Obviously, you always need to apply online through our platform, but you can collaborate with some colleagues offline before and then send the application through the platform. Or you can also collaborate directly on the platform if you decide to. It's very important that you are that you write really clearly and in layman terms and avoid all acronyms or technical jargon to make sure that you really make a very clear statement. Also, make sure that you can support your statement with scientific evidence and provide reference where it's applicable. It makes a stronger application. If you really need to demonstrate that you have researched the scale and impact of the problem and you aim to address it, and then clearly explain the intended output of your project as well, not only the process, and highlight at stage 2, make sure that you highlight the skill and capacity to successfully deliver the project. EDI commitment and sustainability commitment is quite important. It should be reflected throughout the application. You will have more opportunity to feature that at stage 2 when we ask about the impact of your solution and your team. But make sure that if you have the opportunity, you can also feature that into your application from the start. Next slide, and that would be the last slide before the question and answer. Feel free to ask any question in the Q&A function. We already replied to some of the questions, but I will read some question and answer out loud. And then I will also start asking the question live to our challenge owners to make sure that they can respond to you directly. So in terms of notification of application, so we expect the final funding decision. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. We expect that the final funding decision will be made in January 2027 to start the project in February 2027. So you need to be aware that the final decision will take into consideration broader portfolio approach across all challenges. And if you are partnering with an organization, as mentioned at the beginning, we need a lead applicant. So this lead applicant is responsible to inform their project partner and collaborator about the outcome and distribute the funding accordingly if successful. So if you are partnering with an organization, also make sure that before the start of the program, you have an agreement and you clearly state how you're going to collaborate on this project. If you are successful in winning TRIG grant, we will be sending a conditional grant offer letter and additional documentation in January. So you make sure that you are able to respond quite quickly between December and January to make sure that you meet all the deadline and you are communicating everything in due course. So that's it in terms of the selection and application process. We are going to answer all the questions that we can, given that we have a busy call. Make sure that you read the application guidance carefully. You've got all the information on it about the competition, about the challenges, about all the different stages. So make sure that you have you read that really thoroughly before you apply. And if you can't find any question as well as you applying, please do contact us at the TRIG email address. We'll be happy to answer any question after as well. So moving to the questions. Sorry. So I've noticed a few questions more for the DFT colleague. So I will start with the DFT colleague questions if they've not been answered already. One is for maritime. So can you give any guidance on applying with a maritime specific project, which include both digital twin and AI ML aspects? Okay, so it would be more like which challenge they should select, but maybe Ian, as I can see you on the screen, maybe if you can tell us like if it's a critical technology, for example, like what sort of solution you would like to see in a maritime submission.
Yeah, so I think the question from memory so was focusing on do you have to can you quote multiple priority scope challenge statements or can you just have to state the one? So I would just look to CPC to come in afterwards just to confirm my interpretation. But what I would say that if you're supporting multiple challenge statements, as long as it fits with the overall challenge, maritime decarbonisation challenge, and it's in scope, then you would be able to reference multiple challenge statements. But CPC, if you can confirm that.
So they need every project should apply to a single challenge. You can't submit multiple submission for the same project, but you are welcome to submit several projects from a single organization and apply it to different changes or the same challenges depending on where it fits. But yeah, I guess more like in terms of what is expected from the maritime, I would say like, yeah, read if you can read the challenge statement carefully and make sure that it's aligned. I don't know if you have anything else to add on that, yeah.
Yeah, so specifically they were saying in terms of, so you have the Maritime Decarbonisation Challenge. So they would be applying to that, but then under that we have our challenge statements. So our priority scope statements. And should they reference multiple ones or do they have to state a particular one? And I was just confirming that my interpretation is you can reference multiple priority scope statements, but as long as it falls under the same Maritime Decarbonisation Challenge.
I think there's been a few questions on this theme, Isabel. So that was just, I think, within challenge, but there was people asking about which challenge to apply for. I think the advice we would give is to read the competition document closely and make sure that you're applying for the one that you think most resonates with your proposal. However, we do have consistency. So across all of the interviews and all of the kind of applications, we have kind of the same people from the SciTech team represented. So we have that consistency to be able to take projects and suggest that they might move into other areas if we think that they are more aligned with others. And we do have a bit of flexibility with that, but it obviously does depend on how many applicants we've got and how many projects are funded under each challenge as well. So we do have some flexibility there. We won't kind of dismiss an idea just because it wasn't in the right challenge if it does feel like it can fit in another area as well.
Exactly. If we notice that your project is more aligned with another sport sector, we won't exclude your application. Okay. So again, for maritime decarbonization, if a project touches multiple, oh, sorry, so that's the same. Sorry, going through the question. I don't know if you picked up a question that you want to answer as well. Feel free to raise your hand as a challenge owner and answer the question you want to address. I'm going through all the questions at the same time, so
yeah, if it helps, I'm happy to come back. So Peter Lowry, I saw in terms of question 3 on your list, you mentioned what is the relationship between TRIG and the Clean Maritime Research Hub? Does getting TRIG funding an actual result in work with the Research Hub? So the quick answer to this is no. It doesn't automatically result in working with the Research Hub. Both TRIG and Clean Maritime Research Hub are partially funded by the UK Shore Programme, which is the UK Shipping Office for Reducing Emissions Programme in DFT. But they are separate interventions, separate competitions. What I would say is if you're interested in working with the Clean Maritime Research Hub, do get in contact with the hub and to discuss the opportunities there with them. They have a really great website that have contacts on as well, which I'm happy to share the link to.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay, I will answer any type of question as well. So, about the success rate. So I've mentioned during the different phases. So phase one, depending on the number of application, it's difficult to predict how many application we will receive, but we are progressing from phase one to phase two, 200 and up to 212 application, and then at interview stage we're progressing 90 application for interview. And then we are awarding up to 53 projects across all challenges. So that would give you a rough idea of success rate, but it really depends on how many applications we receive. So I had a question about like being a sole trader. It's very important to be UK registered. So you need to have a business. You can't be an individual or sole trader applying to TRIG. Make sure that you create an organization or a business before applying to TRIG. We will asking the company's house number at the application stage. So it's very important. In terms of international subcontractor, so the lead applicant must be UK registered. However, you can partner with an international company, or you can subcontract to an international company. Only make sure that no more than 50% of the grant is used for international organization. This exclude the material cost, but in terms of subcontracting or working with an international partner, make sure that it's not more than 50%. So at the stage 2, in terms of the application, so you should know if you've been progressed to stage 2 before the 13th of July. On the 13th of July, we will let you know whether you've been progressed to stage 2, and you will have between the 13th of July to complete your application from the 13th of July to the 7th of August to complete the full application. So you will have a few weeks to submit the full application, and we will run some webinar to help you complete all the information, including the budget and the project plan. So if you don't have any employees, you don't need liability insurance. But as soon as you have one employee, you need to comply with that. So we'll ask in the application form how many employees you have, and if it's one, then you need to say yes to the liability insurance. So that's this one, and then so I've got a question about the a question about the scoring. So from the score from stage one will be taken into account at the stage two as well. So to decide which organization will be selected for interview. So I've shown on the screen the weighting for each criteria. The stage one criteria is innovation at stage one. So we score the innovation criteria to decide whether you progress to stage two. And then at stage two, we are scoring all the other criteria, and we are adding the score at stage one to this overall score to decide whether you are selected for interview. Sorry, it's a bit of a waffle, but yeah, that's the process.
Isabel, also
Yes.
come back on Peter Lowry's question, question 7. It talks of how does TRIG compare to CMDC, both at early stage programs? How do we decide which one is appropriate to us, as the slide showed an overlap in terms of the coverage? I think if in doubt in terms of which one's most appropriate, do feel to get in touch with both Innovate UK for CMDC and Connected Place Catapult have support emails that you can ask the question of. There is some overlap, and that's to ensure sort of there's no gaps in terms of the progression through the pipeline, and that's particularly the feasibility study stage. So CMDC 7, which is our live competition at the moment, which is open until middle of July, has 3 strands. So it has a feasibility study strand, a pre-deployment trial strand, and a deployment trial. It's the feasibility study strand which will have some overlap with TRIG. However, there is a difference in terms of the conditions. So for CMDC, it has to be a consortium. And also in terms of the amount of funding and the timescales. So I think it's about having a look at the conditions and see which one best fits your project, and also the TRL progression that you'll see within that project. Thanks.
Thank you, Ian. So in terms of next question, so I've got a few questions, like several questions. So I'll address that. I'll address that directly with Peter Lowry, because there's a few more questions, and I'll respond directly. So in terms of university, make sure that the person that is the lead applicant, so the one applying for TRIG, is working for more than 12 months within the organization at the start of the project. If the person is not in the book of the university, please ask your department to apply on your behalf to make sure that you can benefit from TRIG. So that's this one. So we don't fund the patent costing for TRIG. So this is not an eligible cost. So that's one question. There's a few more questions in the same. Okay, I'll respond to this one directly. So if you respond that you already tried your ID in a real world environment in the form, it means that you're not eligible for TRIG, because your solution shouldn't be tried in the real environment when you apply for TRIG. So that would, yes, exclude you for the competition. So there's a question about, can a partner be above TRL 5? So when you apply for TRIG, the TRL level is applicable to the project, not to the organization. So for example, we have large organization or more mature a small company applying for TRIG, it's not a problem. The importance is that the project, the innovation project, is at TRL5, so the solution that you are developing is at is not at above TRL4 when you apply. So that's what you need to look at. So a partner, if a partner is above TRL5 in the sense that they're already making a revenue-making company, that's fine, as long as your project is not above TRL4. In terms of facilitating collaboration partnerships, so we are, for the first time, we are asking in the form whether you are looking to have a partner, and if you found a partner, if there are some evident collaboration across all application and it's easy to facilitate, we will do that, but we can't guarantee that we will have the capacity to do it. So we're trialing a way of facilitating those collaboration, but as it's the first time we are trying this, we can't ensure that we will look for a partner, and especially if it's a partner that hasn't applied for TRIG, we can't facilitate that. Okay, so there are a few questions we will address directly as it's very specific and we will need to ask some clarification. So, got a question. I don't have any team. Which innovator I am? I'm presenting the experience I have, but no, I don't have a partner. Is that okay? So you can apply for TRIG even if you are a micro businesses. So you can be just a founder. It happened in the past. When you are applying at stage 2, we'll ask you to detail your team and your project plan, the resources. You need to make sure and prove that you have the capacity to deliver this project within the time frame. So make sure that when you apply for TRIG, even if you're micro businesses, that you're showing that you have this capacity. And if you don't, then maybe highlight any subcontractor or partner that you are working with to ensure that you can deliver this project. Okay, and just going through to clarify a few response. So I just wanted to remind you that any organization like university are eligible. If you are applying to another program other than TRIG, you can't double fund the same project. It can be some match funding, but if you apply for TRIG and another program, if the costs that you submitted for TRIG are already covered by another grant, this won't be accepted. But make sure that, again, you can always match fund or apply to different program. And then again, we need some lead applicant for TRIG. Always have a lead applicant, even if you can apply, you can have a consortium. Make sure that you have an agreement between yourselves to distribute the funding, as we are not going to distribute the funding across different partners, and we will not communicate the outcome to all the partners. You always have to identify a lead applicant that will then distribute the grant and the information at the end for the outcome of the application. For again for international partners, so you can partner with an international company. Make sure that no more than 50% is of the grant is funding an overseas company, but you can use that more for material. And then we've got, so would an innovation that propose new or modification to existing policy be welcome, or does each proposal have to fit within existing policies? So TRIG is more about an innovation, a solution, an innovation rather than changing policies. So your TRIG proposal should be it could be a service, it could be a physical product, it could be a technology. If we've got some frameworks that has been developed through TRIG. So it can be any sort of solution, but the submission shouldn't be about changing the policies. I don't know if there's anything you want to add, Claire or Nathan, on this one. And then for NDA and confidentiality, again, if you apply for TRIG, the selection process is managed by DFT and Connected Places Catapult, so this is completely confidential. Make sure that you are registered, UK registered. Any organization can can apply for TRIG, but you need to be UK registered. So again, if you're a sole trader or an individual, make sure that you create a company. And I don't know if there's any other question anyone want to answer. Feel free to raise your hand. If so, so MFA, so you can't, as an organization, you can't receive more than 350,000 pounds in grant funding. So make sure that if you receive some grant as a result of the TRIG funding, you don't exceed the 350,000 pounds.
Isabel, can I jump in
Later.
quickly on that
Yes.
point? Because we get this question a lot in terms of what is the Subsidy Control Act all about, and why is it that we're limiting the amount of money we can give through a granted process? So, partially as a result of EU exit, but also in a way to keep our companies competitive, it was decided that a limit has to be applied to the amount of money we can fully subsidize a company. Because if we overly subsidize a company, then it will outcompete other companies in the market, and show in some way that the government is preferentialising one area over another. So £315,000 over a 3-year rolling period was what was decided. And that's really confusing. So I thought I'd just quickly touch on that. What that means is that in the year one, say you receive 100k. In year 2, you receive 100k. In year 3, you receive 100k. In year 4, that first 100k will have been wiped off, and then you're back onto the years because it's a 3-year rolling period. So if your project is over a long period of time, you'll be able to receive lots of grants. The other reason that the MFA is so important is because it really prevents companies from sitting in that granting area and sitting there and being able to be completely funded by grants for the full lifetime of the business. We really want to see technologies progressing through the TRLs as quickly as possible. And so that's the case. And very quickly, if you are progressing into the mid and high TRLs, you will no longer be doing 100% granted competitions. And therefore, the MFA in some cases is disregarded because you are partially funded and bringing your own funding in with it as well. It's all about the fact that we have to create a competitive market that allows businesses to thrive, rather than go back to my initial point, which is to fully invest and subsidize one area, which would create an uncompetitive market. Sorry, Isabel.
Thank you very much, Nathan, for all those details. I've just put in the chat the innovation directory link as well. So if you want to know more about the project that have been funded by TRIG in previous year, you can visit this innovation directory. You've got all the detail of you've got the objective of their project and the outcome. So it's a very rich database of projects. So I'm looking at the Q&A function. If you've asked any question in the chat, make sure that it's in the Q&A section so I can really address it. And as we are finishing the session, I think we've answered most of the question. But if there are some questions that are pending, we will get back to you directly with some clarification. We also have a Q&A function on the Simply Do platform. So we are going to update this platform with some questions so you can find all the answer at hand. Well, I think this is the end of the webinar. So thank you very much, everyone, for attending this webinar. I really look forward to receiving all your great application and also to start the engagement with all the innovators. It's a real pleasure to deliver this program and to work with so inspiring innovators such as everyone on this call. Thank you, everyone, for your time. And yeah, we look forward to receiving everything. And thank you very much for DFT colleagues for funding the program and for engaging in that session as well. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Isabel.